Bonjour. Doing a review for chapter 11 and 12 for the oral quiz questions. Chapitre 11, as a reminder for both of these chapters to look for first if there's a question word. If there's a question word, like a who, what, where, and how, you want to make note of it and make sure you know what it means and how to answer it. If there is no question word, then it's usually a yes or no question or an either or question. After you've figured out if there's a question word or not and what that means for you, then move on and go find your subject and then count how many verbs there are. If there's one verb, you're usually using the present tense or the imparfait. If there is two verbs, you're usually using the passé composé, the futur proche, the passé récent, or some sort of a present tense verb where you have one verb and an infinitive after. Whatever you do, however many verbs and whatever conjugation and tense you're using, you want to make sure to reuse that structure almost all the time. Also make sure to answer in complete sentences, which require at least one subject and a verb. All right, chapitre 11, numéro 1. Pouvez-vous me donner des directions pour aller en voiture du Colvin à Eskimo Joe's, s'il vous plaît? Okay, so this one doesn't have a real question word, but it is asking you to give directions from the Colvin to Eskimo Joe's. You're going to have to look that up on a map if you don't know. Make sure you're taking it by car. You're not taking it on foot. It's much more complicated on foot. As a reminder, this giving directions, what you actually want to be doing is using your command form. So, for example, something like vous prenez à gauche, you take a left, okay? That would be a normal sentence structure, but what you want to do is do whack, whack, wha-bam, capitalize here, so that you're giving a command form. Prenez à gauche, okay? Don't forget the expression sur la rue, on the street or on the road, and then the name of the road, okay? Okay, numéro 2. À Paris, dans quel arrondissement se trouve Notre-Dame et la Tour Eiffel? Okay, do you have a question word? Yes, the question word is quel or which. Reminder, arrondissement. That's an important word. That's your districts. Se trouve Notre-Dame et la Tour Eiffel. You have one verb, se trouve. You'll just turn that around for Notre-Dame et la Tour Eiffel. This is basically your verb, and these are your two subjects. Don't forget, when you're answering this, the dans, and then you give the number of the arrondissement, right? When you're giving the number of the arrondissement, remember you need to give numbers like first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Numéro 3. Racontez une expérience frappante de votre jeunesse quand vous aviez blanquant, vous, blah, 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 blah. So the question word here is quand, when. Vous aviez blanquant. And in fact, this isn't really a full, this isn't a question word when the age is important. You just need to fill in what your age was. Notice here the verb tense. Okay, this is imparfait. And don't forget the word en to fill in your actual age. And then here is where you get into actually talking about the striking experience that you had. So this first part will be imparfait, but the second part very likely will be passé composé, because if it's a shocking experience, something probably happened suddenly. Numéro 4. Avez-vous connu vos arrière-grands-parents? Utilisez un pronom. So you do not have a question word, so this is just a yes or no question. How many verbs do you have? You have 2, avez and connu. This is your passé composé. Once you turn it around and have your sentence, write out the actual response, then find your pronoun by looking at if there's something that was exactly in the question that you've rewritten into your response. That's going to allow you to identify a possible pronoun. In this case, the vos arrière-grands-parents will become your pronoun, and of course, your vos in your first sentence would change a little bit. Because it's not my great-grandparents that like mine as in L'Oreal's, it's yours as the student. Then you of course, have to choose your pronoun, put it in the correct place, and if there's any agreement, remember that that may be a possibility and that may change your pronunciation. Numéro 5. Situation hypothétique. Un ami veut utiliser votre voiture. Prêtez-vous votre voiture à votre ami? Utilisez deux pronoms. So, hypothetical situation, a friend wants to use your car. The question itself, prêtez-vous votre voiture à votre ami? There's no question word. There's one verb, prêter. It's present tense. And you need to, first of all, answer the question, then look and see if there's anything that was in the question that then got immediately identically transferred into your answer. Likely that's where you're going to find two pronouns, so that would be in the rest of the sentence here. So find two pronouns that would fit into that space. Put them in the right place. Once again, watch out for agreement. Numéro 6. Quand vous avez un problème dans une relation amoureuse, parlez-vous de ce problème à un de vos parents? Utilisez deux pronoms. Okay. This quand here is not a question word. It's just talking about if you're in this situation. Parlez-vous de ce problème? So here we go. You don't have a question word right here. You just are immediately going into the inversion. So just a yes-no question. The number of verbs you have is just one. First of all, answer the question first, then identify if there's anything identical from your answer that came from the question, and you'll find in that space the possibility to transform two of those things into pronouns, put them in the right place. Chapitre 12. Quelle forme d'art préférez-vous? Qui est votre artiste préféré? First part, do you have a question word? Yes. Quelle forme? So which form of art? Quelle forme d'art? This is like literature, cinema, sculpture, painting, poetry, etc. Vocabulary. Préférez-vous? Just one verb. Present tense. Qui est votre artiste préféré? Another question word. Qui? One verb. Et? Votre artiste préféré. Your favorite artist. You can turn that around, or you can use je préfère for both préférez-vous and votre artiste préféré. Both of those are fine to use to answer with je préfère. Numéro 2. Suivez-vous des cours le semestre prochain? Quel cours suivez-vous? The first question has no question word, so it's a yes or no. The second question has quel cours. So if you are taking classes, then you'll answer which ones. Number of verbs, you have just one, suivez. And same thing here, suivez-vous. So you just answer that in one question or in one answer. Present tense. Numéro 3. Quand vous aviez 15 ans, viviez-vous avec vos deux parents? Utilisez un pronom accentué. The quand here is not a question word. It's just giving you a situation of imparfait here and an age. Viviez-vous avec vos deux parents? Once again, you have one verb here, right here. With the IEZ, you're using imparfait. Avec vos deux parents, answer the question first, then find out if there's any pronoun that can be used. Watch out here because it's asking you to use a stress pronoun, not a triangle pronoun. Numéro 4. Comment est-ce que vous allez dire à votre frère de ne pas raconter toutes ses aventures à votre mère? Utilisez l'impératif, la négation et deux pronoms de complément d'objet. All right, this looks like a very complicated question, but it's really not. First, let's break it down. Question word, we have comment, how. Vous allez dire à votre frère de ne pas raconter ses aventures. So you're telling your brother to not recount all of his adventures to your mother. And it's asking you to use the command form with a negation and two pronouns. So let's break this down. Possibilities of things that you can say to your brother. Remember that you're addressing your brother with tu. You can reuse the verb raconter and ne pas if you like, or maybe you want to say something else. That's fine. So set up your sentence first, doing it for tu. You're using ne pas because I've asked you to use negation. So because you're trying to tell him don't do this. Okay? Like I said, raconte is a possible verb, but it is not necessary. Toutes ses aventures. In this case, it's toutes tes aventures. À notre mère. Okay? So first of all, in order to deal with this, we want to get the sentence with the pronouns. So I've got my subject, I've got my verb. I'm going to identify pronouns. Here we go. That's something that has been repeated from the question into the answer. À notre mère as well. Turn those into pronouns, put them in the right place, and then when you're doing the imperative, make sure you're doing the whack whack wabam. The to form of an ER will have tss, you take off the final S. And remember that when you're doing the negative form of a command, you will not move any of the pronouns. They will not change. They will not switch orders. Everything is just done after whack whack wabam, and you're done. Numéro 5. À quel âge avez-vous commencé à apprendre le français? Question word, quel, which, âge. Number of verbs, 2, 3. Avez, commencé, apprendre. So you're going to reuse that structure. You uninvert it, you write with your vous and you transform it. Avez and commencé gives you the passé composé first, right? Form of avoir, then you've got the past participle. And then you have another verb here, which is in the infinitive. Watch out, when you have some verb, no matter what its conjugation, in this case, commencer plus an infinitive, you have to use a certain preposition. Commencer uses à plus an infinitive. Numéro 6. Votre ami veut changer sa spécialisation. Dites-moi, vous lui conseillez de... So you want to reuse this actual sentence, vous lui conseillez, and just use that same structure. So instead of vous, of course, you're using je, because you're answering. Conjugate conseiller correctly. Lui will drop in as well. Notice the de here. Conseiller plus de plus infinitive. Don't forget the de. Anytime that you have conseiller, you need to get an infinitive after, you need to have the de in. That's it. I hope that was helpful. Talk to you guys soon.